Okay, so let me just quickly touch on China. The opportunity, this is my boy, this is in Tiananmen Square. The opportunity for us came down to, as I mentioned, the numbers from China, right? It was just a big opportunity, and I don't have time to get into some of the market, the transformation of the market and the last sort of 50 years in China and why things have changed, but suffice it to say there's a big opportunity, right? And that was exciting to us for a lot of reasons. Our team in China has been hands down the most rewarding part for me. You know, having that same, again, thinking back to the feeling I had as a missionary and being a part of a group where we're totally aligned. I love that feeling in my Provo office. I love that feeling with our China office. You know, it's just as rewarding to see somebody finally get it and then be able to execute on something that they just got and then feel that sense of accomplishment, just as rewarding as anything in this business. It really is. So I wanted to share that. And then the last thing is, just before we end, you know, the other part to this, there's funny stories, and for us it ended well, and it continues to go well. You know, I love the company that acquired us, but you know, there are real challenges that just happen, and not just your business, not just the fact that there was time where we probably could have managed our money better and we were like down to dollars in the bank and we had to let people go, and it was like horrible. Like, it's the worst feeling. And fortunately, most of our employees were like just out of college and young, and so they could, you know, it wasn't like life-shattering, but you hate that feeling. Like, there's nothing like having some stewardship over a person who's attached to a family or even themselves and then not putting them in a position to succeed. We overcame those. This was a letter from my wife. So into our business, not long into it, my brother passed away, and everything came to a halt for me. I remember going to one of the other founders and just telling him that I was done. Like, I couldn't, I just wasn't ready to move on with this. I couldn't have passion for something like this when someone I loved so dearly, you know, was no longer around. So that was one point. When we moved to China, our third child was born there, and she had serious medical problems. So we moved to China, selling our cars, keeping just our house, and 5 months later, we have a beautiful little girl, and she has to have an emergency tracheostomy, right? So she can breathe. So she breathes now through a little, what's called the trach. So we moved back to the States. You know, my wife's here dealing with that. I'm single dad in China with 2 kids there and managing the business. Like, those were times where, you know, life really happens. And I just share this. You know, my wife shared that if Zinch isn't the answer for us, then we'll move on to the next thing. You know, and that was simple, and there was more to it, you know, in the letter. But, you know, it's important in your business to have, then we were required, which is, you know, happy, you know, but there's priorities in what you're doing here. You know, when I go on a business trip now, my mom doesn't ask me all the big things about, you know, where's the company going or users. She's like, remember the priesthood that you hold. You know, remember your family, you know, and those things. And so it really, you never outgrow the things that you learn here. You know, you're fortunate to be in a place where the spiritual is just as important as the secular. You know, and so I would just say in all of this and whatever you're pursuing, you sort of get it. Like, you already have all you need, and I'm sure you have talents to go do great things outside of that, but it never goes beyond, you know, your kids. And these are mine. This is my little girl that was born in China. This is my oldest, Koi, and that's Case. Some recent little pictures. But I think I'm done with time. We'll have some Q&A, but just want to thank you for those of you who do have to leave. Really appreciate you listening, and hopefully this was somewhat useful. So thanks.